why mindfulness is key to tinnitus recovery. It's because of how tinnitus suffering functions. That's why they call it bothersome tinnitus. There's tinnitus, which is the perception of the ringing without suffering. And then there's bothersome tinnitus, the perception of ringing with suffering. That's why it's a different category. That's why they give it a different name. Because the majority of people who get tinnitus, they don't suffer with it. I know, right? You're like, how is this? Lucky them? That's impossible, right? That's what I thought, how, Well, it's exactly why I'm making this video. So the thing you have to understand is that tinnitus is just a sound. It may be a loud sound. It might have reactivity attached to it. It might have all of these other things, but by and large of itself, if you stripped away all of the emotions and thoughts attached to it, it is just a sound. No more, no less. It's like the sound of a wave, But we have good emotions attached to the sound of a wave. We hear a wave, we're like, oh, it's the beach, it's palm trees, it's beautiful, it's all of this, So we have good emotions attached to a wave. So when we hear a wave, it's very comforting to us as humans. And tinnitus, if you didn't attach the story to it, if your brain didn't attach the story to it, I would say your ego, if it didn't attach the story to it, then you wouldn't suffer from it. And that's how you get people that are in the category of having tinnitus without the bothersome aspect to it. For whatever reason, their brain didn't latch onto it and they didn't put any stories to it. Like, this is horrible, this is going to make me go deaf, this is bad, all this stuff. And generally speaking, from the people I've worked with, the people who are in the bothersome category tend to be overthinkers, highly motivated people. They tend to maybe have a history of ADHD, or maybe not ADHD, maybe overworking, maybe high achievers. They also tend to be people who maybe have a history with anxiety, a history with, latching on to certain thoughts and not letting them go. And that's why when I talk to people, I'm like, I look at their life and, I'm like, wow, you've been very successful in life, because a lot of times when people come to see me, they are aware enough that something is happening, but there is maybe hope, right? So to be aware of that generally goes hand in hand with people who have done significant accomplishments. And usually those people, let's be real, if you're motivated to succeed, it's usually because you've thought a lot about life and you're like, okay, I don't want to be broke. I want to make something of my life, and that's usually, fear motivates us. Let's be honest. Humans are motivated more by pain and suffering than we are of pleasure. And so pain is going to motivate us far more than pleasure will. But the thing that I'm trying to tell you is that in tinnitus, the suffering is linked to the story you have attached to the tinnitus, not the sound and the perception of it in and of itself. Like I said, if you took away the story and you just had the perception of the tinnitus or the reactiveness, you would not be suffering. And so because of that, the key in awareness is learning to not give those thoughts and that story power, because of how the mind works. That which you resist shall persist. When you're sitting there and you're giving these thoughts power because you don't know how to observe the thoughts without getting emotionally attached to them, you're giving these thoughts power. And this happens automatically unless you practice it. But in awareness, like mindfulness, is tapping into that inner awareness and observing the thought, observing the sensation, and not going down the doom rabbit hole, the mental spiral. And this can feel impossible at first, It can feel like it's not helping. It's this is not. How is this going to work? This is not going to work. But I'm telling you, it is the key treatment to bothersome tinnitus, reactive tinnitus, hyperacusis. It is the key treatment in healing from it. Is awareness, is mindfulness, being mindful of the experience without letting yourself spiral. And that's exactly how you do it, is you sit and you observe with neutral, non-judgmental about your experience. And that's extremely hard to do because everybody is judgmental. And it seems now more than ever, everyone is judgmental. Everyone will walk down the street. Everyone judges themselves. They judge everything around them. They have and it used to be highly opinionated people. When I deal with people and they're highly opinionated, like they're like, I don't like this, I hate that, and I don't like this, and I'm this, and I think this way about that. Those are the people that tend to suffer the most with tinnitus. It's the people who are more open emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They tend to be the people who are like, yeah, what you're saying is true. Yeah, I can let it go. It's just a sound, right? And they tend to be more unassuming. These are more unassuming people. Less narcissistic tendencies, more, like I said, open emotionally and mentally. Those tend to be the people who do the best with my treatment and recovering from tinnitus, because they don't have a habit of placing judgment on everything, right? So they experience the tinnitus and they might experience it with more of an open curiosity, like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder. Let me explore that. I wonder why that's happening. Or maybe not, but it's interesting. Let's observe that, right? And so that tends to be their outlook on life, and so when they hit tinnitus, because that's how they are, that's kind of their personality, that's how they practice other situations, they tend to not be bothered by tinnitus as much. And so I think that's really tough for people, and I'm going to explain to you why this is so hard for people. Because people are attached to their thoughts, like they're attached to their judgments about the world, right? If you believe that, I'm just going to throw a random judgment out there that maybe you have, like if you really hate rock and roll, you hate rock and roll, it sucks, and because you love like classical music and that's the purest form of music, and you just rock and roll is terrible music, it's terrible, man, I don't like it, right? And you believe that your entire life till your 40s and 50s, trying to get you to change your idea about rock and roll music is gonna be damn near impossible, dude. Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, the mind gets set in stone in what it believes, and you can show people mountains. I've had dialogues with people and I've showed them mountains of evidence to kind of show them that they don't have to suffer with tinnitus, and they just couldn't, for whatever reason, they just couldn't believe it. They couldn't let go of their assumptions about tinnitus, and because of that, there's no way they could sit in awareness and practice mindfulness. There's no way, because their thought loop in their head, their beliefs about it, are going to drive their suffering. So you have to look at your own life and you have to think, what do I believe so strongly about that might be wrong? I might be wrong about. And that's painful to do. That's ego death. That is a death. Because you're having to humble yourself. Well, you're humiliating your ego. You're having to humble yourself, and you're having to say, I might be wrong about this. I might be wrong about that. I might be wrong about a lot of things in my life. And not just say that, because people can consciously say, well, sure, I don't know everything. But then they live as if they do know everything. So they're not even being truly honest with themselves. But the more you can do this, the more you can challenge what it is you believe, and the more you can humble yourself, the more the ego can take a back seat, and you are able to sit and be like, wow, I was wrong about tinnitus. I was wrong. I thought I was going to suffer forever. I thought that I didn't have any hope, and I was completely wrong. And it's time to go and live life and get back to experiencing everything that the world has to offer. And so that is, I'll leave you with that. That is a large chunk of things. But if you want to practice that, if you want to say, hey, like, I want to change my mind about tinnitus. I want to get my silence back. Book a 60-minute session below. I would love to work with you. Like and subscribe. It does help the algorithm. It helps to get this treatment to people. And I would say the homework is write down a list of beliefs that you can't question. And maybe sit and consider the idea that maybe you're not right about everything. And maybe one of those things is tinnitus. Maybe you don't have to suffer forever. Maybe I can convince you otherwise. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Peace.